Hello, angel, come along. Welcome to the Birds of Babylon.
Hello, my beautiful people. I am Dia. This is Birds of Babylon Tarot. Thank you for joining me today. So we have a really big full moon in Aquarius coming up, and I did a collective pull for all of us, and a very, very interesting message came through that I am excited to share. So when I asked what are we working on releasing as a collective, the first card that came through was this Seven of Cups. And to me, the Seven of Cups really represents feeling indecisive, feeling fragmented, feeling like there are a lot of options, a lot of fogginess, a lot of murkiness, but not a lot of clarity to be found. And also what I get when I see this card sometimes is just a sense of fear, like we don't want to make the wrong decision. We feel burdened almost by choice and fatigued by all of the things that are happening around us, which I think is very, what's the word? It very much makes sense for the kind of era that we're in right now, where we're witnessing so much chaos happening in real time, so many things that we don't necessarily directly control, but it's all kind of contributing to this mental fog, this murkiness. And I do also want to note that this past retrograde was Mercury retrograde in Cancer, which another astrologer online noted was the same transit happening during 2020. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, that particular transit was a point in time where I felt mentally very, very foggy, very unable to kind of, assess up from down, right from left, good decision from bad decision. And that's something that we see here in the cups, right? Like there are these different options, and we have the sense that some of them will bring good fortune, but then others might bring failure or hardship. And so there is a lot of fear energy, and there's a lot of kind of uncertainty. And I think that a lot of us since 2020 have felt that sense of uncertainty and that inability to kind of move forward because of feeling like we don't really have all the information. However, when I asked for a clarifying card, I received the beautiful Queen of Pentacles. And to me, this is really talking about how the antidote to that sense of murkiness and that sense of brain fog and kind of like dissipation of our energy is to reground ourselves in earth-based practices. Really invest in the body, invest in cooking, invest in our community, go outside, connect with nature, talk to the people that we care about, take good care of our pets, all of these things that can be looked at as kind of smaller actions or things that are maybe insignificant in the context of capitalism or in the context of performing as a human in 2026, but that feed our spirit and really make us feel better and might give us some clarity around how to move forward in a more direct and certain kind of way. And I will say that I had a very like a very direct experience with this even this weekend, where I had been feeling extremely exhausted and feeling much like I did during 2020, which was like, I haven't been sleeping super well, and that's been affecting my mental state. But I just told myself, like, look, you have to go outside, you have to go to a park. And I did. I went to a park, and I was so grateful because in that journey, just going to the park for a couple hours, I saw so many examples of beauty and harmony and well-being and joy that really like filled me up and totally changed my mental and physical perspective, and allowed me to kind of step into this week with a new frame of mind, a better, more positive frame of mind. So that, I think, is something that we're being called to do as we release this uncertainty or this indecision or this sense of not really knowing how to move forward. Then I inquired about what Spirit is asking us to call in for this lunation, for this big full moon. And what I got was also very, very interesting, because the first card I pulled is this Three of Swords card. And so, typically the Three of Swords can be interpreted as heartbreak or loss. But in this, as an answer to this question, it to me feels more about forgiveness and addressing and really sitting with past wounds or disappointments that might have made us feel like we don't know what direction to move in now. And so it's like maybe taking some time, setting aside some time to, for example, go into nature and just meditate about the things that may have hurt you in the past, and consider maybe how far you've come, or consider a more compassionate approach towards things that you wish you had done differently, or old conflicts that you've had with people that maybe you can release by just understanding that they were doing the best that they could do at the time, and so were you. Or whatever kind of your practice is to engage with those questions, or to engage with the past, I think could be really valuable at this time. And the reason it seems like we're being called to do this kind of work, to really go there and feel deeply and like start to release these three swords in the heart, is because we have a new beginning coming in, or that wants to come in, and that's being facilitated potentially through this upcoming eclipse season. Now, I pulled these two cards immediately after I pulled the Three of Swords as clarifiers, and then the Ace of Cups followed by the Lovers card. So to me, the moon cards in this deck, they're not in every tarot deck, right? Each deck has their specifics, but in this deck, the moon cards to me always kind of suggest that we're entering a cycle or a portal, and knowing that eclipse season is also coming up later in this year, to me it feels like we're being asked to kind of like preemptively address those things now, so that when we portal through that time, we're able to receive this new fresh blessing and this new energy in the Lovers card. And really, like the Ace of Cups talks about feeling very spiritually nourished, feeling very abundant, feeling like, the good feelings are overflowing, like you're receiving a gift from Spirit, or many, and you're feeling like that new potentiality, that breath of like, okay, everything's going to be okay. And, with the Lovers card here, it certainly can be that by addressing old relational wounds, you're calling in somebody who is a much better partner for yourself, whether that be in love or in creativity. But also, if those don't apply to you, the Lovers card can really speak to just feeling more aligned with your own self, with your own values, with how you want to move in the world, with how you want to present your love to the world. Whether that be, again, like investing in your community, doing outreach, investing in your creative projects, taking really good care of your body, anything and everything that's kind of related to your own personal values and your own sense of morals and ethics. Because the Lovers card really talks about how we make decisions, what our guiding principles are, what our moral compass is, and whether or not we're living in alignment to our personal truths, our personal values. Are we contributing to the world and the environment and our relationships and ourselves in a way that makes us proud to be who we are? Are we living in our truth? So yeah, it's really deep. I feel honestly quite surprised by this reading because, Aquarius energy can be very collective, and I associate it a lot with innovation and with a more heady kind of attitude, right? also an air sign. I'm a Gemini. And so I relate a lot to a lot of Aquarian values. But to me, this, I guess it actually, now that I'm talking about it, it does make sense because, you know, Aquarians are invested, or the sign of Aquarius is invested in the collective. And it's like, okay, well, how do we heal the collective? We start by healing our own wounds. We start by addressing our own wounds and addressing past hurts. Because, you know, like, everyone is a human. We all make mistakes. We've all done things that we wish we hadn't. You know, we've all been hurt. We've all been both the villain and the victim in our own stories and other people's stories. So I guess it does make sense in the context that, like I said, in order to create a greater healing on Earth, and to start changing some of the structures and hardships that we have been facing as a community, that we really need to start by addressing what is happening in our heart space, and clearing out some of the old baggage, some of the old trepidations, some of the old you know, stories that might have kept us in this state of pain and suffering for a long time, or maybe longer than necessary. So yeah, I am really looking forward to you and I both coming into this new phase of abundance and well-being and love and good feelings. And I hope that your full moon is really blessed. And if you have any other thoughts, leave them in the comments. And if you'd like to get a private reading from me, I have info for that down below. Thanks for watching. I would love it if you could subscribe. And yeah, see you soon.